What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, former world champion, legendary trainer, Robert Garcia, he says his fighter, undefeated, rising Mexican superstar title contender, 17-0, 17 wins by way of knockout, Vergil Ortiz Jr., 23 years of age, stands at 5'10" with a 70-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring, he was getting a TKO stoppage victory over former WBO junior welterweight world champion turned welterweight title contender Maurice Mighty Mo Hooker. That took place March 20th, and he got a TKO, a knockout victory over Maurice Mighty Mo Hooker. But that said, the hot ticket in the sport of boxing is undefeated, rising welterweight superstar title contender Jaron Boots Ennis. With that said, Robert Garcia, he was asked about the possibility of his fighter, 23 years old, same weight division. They're both welterweights, same class, right? They're the same age, and asking about Jaron Boots Ennis, when asked about Jaron Boots Ennis, 27-0, 25 wins by way of knockout. He is 23 years of age. He stands at 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. When asked about Jaron Boots Ennis in his last fight against former IBF junior welterweight world champion Sergey Lipinets, that took place April 10th, and Jaron Boots Ennis looks absolutely spectacular in that fight. Well, when Vergil Ortiz was asked about a fight between himself and Jaron Boots Ennis, Vergil Ortiz, he stated he's not avoiding Jaron Boots Ennis. He'll fight him tomorrow. But when his trainer, Robert Garcia, was asked about a fight between Vergil Ortiz and Jaron Boots Ennis, Robert Garcia says it's going to be at least 48 months. Add those numbers up, that's 4 years. 48 months. There's 12 months in a year. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 times 2 is 48. So he stated in 48 months or so, 4 years, that'll be the fight. They'll both be ready. Cold word, Vergil Ortiz will be ready for Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis is already currently ready for Vergil Ortiz. Styles make fights. Vergil Ortiz style is tailor-made for Jaron Boots Ennis. He has very, very slow feet. And today, the Boxing Voice and Nesta Gibbs, shout out to the Boxing Voice and Nesta Gibbs, they had Bootsy Ennis on their show, who is the father, trainer, and manager of Jaron Boots Ennis. And he stated, when asked about it, I understand where Robert Garcia is coming from, but I strongly don't disagree. I don't think it should take 4 years, 48 months. I don't believe that should be the case. He says it could happen now. I understand it's a business. Maybe it could happen next year, but 48 months is a stretch. He says when you look at guys like Vergil Ortiz and their style, they're essentially tailor-made for Jaron Boots Ennis, like Sergey Lipinets. They have very slow feet. He has heavy hands, Vergil Ortiz, in both hands. He's power in both hands. Knockout artist. But as Bootsy Ennis stated, you look at the end of his fight and the markings and the success Maurice Hooker was having. He says, then you look at the end of the fight with my son and Sergey Lipinets, and it's a completely different story. Vergil Ortiz was getting touched by Maurice Mighty Mo Hooker, as he was, okay? Because he has slow feet. So when you're an athletic fighter or you have boxing ability and range, you can touch Vergil Ortiz. He doesn't have the sharpest defense in the sport of boxing. And so with that said, Jaron Ennis having such a long reach and such an athletic advantage over Vergil Ortiz Jr. 70-inch arm reach for Vergil Ortiz Jr., 74-inch arm reach for Jaron Boots Ennis. Edge goes to Jaron Ennis. They're both 5'10". The difference is Jaron Boots Ennis, his athletic ability is off the charts. Vergil Ortiz's athletic ability is respectable, but he's more so known for his grit, his pressure, and his power. That's going to be tailor-made style for Jaron Ennis because he can move around the ring. He can utilize the ring. He could get himself in and out quicker than Vergil Ortiz can respond. So Vergil Ortiz, he's going to need time to be able to master his style, and ultimately, the thing that's going to help him against guys like Jaron Boots Ennis is he has to master his timing and distance. Timing and distance. So he could become a counterpuncher with that power. That would be his biggest gift. As you see, guys with limitations in the foot speed department, like legendary Hall of Famer, iconic Mexican superstar, 4-division world champion, one of my favorite boxers, Juan Manuel Marquez. Juan Manuel Marquez, he mastered the counterpunch. He mastered his timing. So that way, when he faced guys like Manny Pacquiao, who athletically was just far more gifted than Juan Manuel Marquez, and they had, more power and quicker feet, well, his timing was the equalizer. Timing beats speed, okay? And so with that said, Vergil Ortiz with 17 fights, Jaron Ennis with 27 fights. Jaron Ennis has 10 more fights than Vergil Ortiz has, okay? Jaron Ennis has 25 knockouts in his career, okay? Vergil Ortiz has 17. They're both the same age. The difference is Jaron Ennis has been far more active than Vergil Ortiz has been active, okay? And so with that said, you can clearly see the skill set and the talent from Vergil Ortiz. But the skill set and the talent from Jaron Boots Ennis jumps off the Richter scale. And so Robert Garcia, being as seasoned as he is, Robert Garcia understanding the sport of boxing, Robert Garcia and his dad being legends and historians in the sport of boxing, they understand what they're up against when it comes to Jaron Boots Ennis. A lot of people want to see and are calling for a fight between Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz because they're in the same class. So they're being measured against one another, okay? Their careers are always going to be linked to one another. Now, I understand that Robert Garcia, he feels like the fight needs to build down the road, okay? But this is still a huge fight. Is it as big as it will be somewhere down the road? No. I say that maybe in, the next year and a half, it could be bigger. But you don't need 4 years to let this fight simmer. It doesn't need 4 years to come to fruition, okay? When you're looking at a fight of this magnitude, this is a fight that these guys are both on the fast track to superstardom, okay? They're both seen as the new faces of the sport of boxing, definitely in what's considered to be the hottest division in the sport of boxing, in the welterweight division. Because in the welterweight division, it's always been considered in the sport of boxing the glamour division, okay? The welterweight division, the middleweight division, that's the glamour division. And we know the heavyweight division carries the sport of boxing. As the heavyweight division goes, so goes the sport of boxing. So they're already on a fast track to stardom, okay? They are already considered the top 2 prospects coming through to take over and replace the current crop of welterweights faces of the sport of boxing in undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in Errol the Truth Spence Jr., and you have undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered to be the #1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world, superstar boxer Terrence Bud Crawford, and guys like 2-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Showtime Sean Porter, and we have 2-division world champion, superstar boxer who is the fellow Philadelphia native, just like Jaron Ennis, and Danny Swift Garcia. He stated he's making his exit up to 154. So it's expected for these two to take over the division. And now you also have Rashidi Speedy Ellis. He's another guy who's a hot prospect in the welterweight division as well. He has a lot of flash, a lot of flair, but he has some catching up to do when considering when you consider these two guys. Okay, Rashidi Ellis, 23-0, 14 wins by way of knockout. He is 27 years of age, so he's 4 years elder than they are. He stands at 5'9" with a 72-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was October 2020 when he took on Alexis Roca. He got a unanimous decision victory. So with that said, you know, he's a hot commodity as well. But when you look at Jaron Ennis and you look at Vergil Ortiz, they're just seen, you know, on a different light than he is. Okay, so, you know, this is a fight that can be made, you know, in the very near future, a year and a half, because they're stepped up in their level of opponent. It's only expected for them to step up, you know, a little bit more in their next fights. You know, there's possibilities that, you know, Vergil Ortiz, he could face guys like Sergey Lipinets. People are calling for him versus Rashidi Ellis. You know, people want to see these, you know, Jaron Ennis versus, you know, he called out Keith Thurman, former unified WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer. You know, he says that if I get the opportunity to fight Keith Thurman and make a statement out of Keith Thurman, then, well, the rest of these guys will be hard to deny me, okay? They'll be forced to fight me. And then, you know, there's Jamal James, that guys we want to see Vergil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis face. You got Igis Kavalaskis. There's, you know, Ray Robinson. You know, there's a lot of names out there that we would love to see these guys step up in levels of competition. And then they keep winning and keep on this track, then, well, they should be on a course to meet up somewhere, but it's not going to take 4 years. In 4 years, they'll be 27. They'll be Rashid Ellis' age, and he'll be 31. He'll be Errol Spence's age, okay? It's not going to take 4 years for this fight to build. It's going to take, they're looking at, they need Vergil Ortiz to grow and get more experience to be able to garner his and craft his home and craft and hone his craft, hone his craft, so that way he can get his timing down pat for when you go up against guys like Rashidi Ellis and Jaron Ennis. Rashidi Speedy Ellis is very, very fast. He's very, very athletic. He just don't have the power. He has a lot of the skill sets of Jaron Ennis, but he just doesn't have the size and the power of Jaron Ennis. Very fast hands. He probably has the faster hands out of all of these guys. He has very fast feet, very elusive, but his defense could be suspect at times. And, that could be, he has these lapses, and that could be, you know, the difference between him and them. But even Rashidi Ellis against Vergil Ortiz is going to be a problem because of his movement, his hand speed, his athletic ability, his elusiveness. And right now, Vergil Ortiz needs to get his timing down pat in order to compete with them, or it could be a case of him getting whitewashed, okay? Because when you don't have the foot speed and you don't have the timing, these guys, their athletic ability can carry them more so than their experience. I said Jaron Ennis physically is ready to compete with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, but mentally and experience-wise, he's not on that level yet. But physically, you put him in a ring with Vergil Ortiz, and he'll win that fight because his athletic ability will carry him through the fight. So Robert Garcia, he understands what he's up against, and so he wants to prolong this fight as long as possible. But make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.